Here's the question of the day. What are you gonna do with that little punk hanging out Guitar Center? Go play on your beats for free. Blow his hands off with his little vape pen. Well, fuck. Now it's up to you to do it yourself. That's what happened to me. Fortunately, there's the real guitar plugins. And these things let a keyboard jockey like me act like I can play guitar like this. Guitar Center punk couldn't bend notes like that. Fuck you. So I'm gonna go through a couple examples and show you how to really make it sound authentic. But I want to start with a simpler example than that. So let's go over this one, since I think it's easier to break down. In this one, I'm using the plugin Real Rick. It's gonna sound like shit at first. Listen for yourself. But we change all that by doing this. Alright, so what I did were these things called key switches, which is something I think a lot of producers don't use enough. And they can just take a plain MIDI and give it a live feel. And there's a ton of sampler and contact instruments that do these. So the process usually for me is to come up with a pattern I like. Then I move on to here. I go and decide based on what the notes like, what key switch will work best. I'll go over that real quick. There's the bend option. In this case, there's that 2 on the side of it, which means it will bend up 2 semitones, each effect change. There's harmonics, which will play it at a higher octave and give it a bit of a hollow sound. Tappy tappy, good for short notes and shit. Scrapes are like effects. If you use those, you don't want to overuse them, but they make an impact when you use them right. There's trill, which is like that little, like a up and down, back and forth type thing. Then we got hammer-on legato, which is like mono or playing on one string. So I go through and I use those on any note that I think it's gonna sound good on. I fuck around with that for a bit. And so we're like 90% there. The last thing I'm gonna do is this. So the last little trick, I go to the mod wheel. I'm gonna set it to 12, which is an entire octave, so I can just shift the note up by a whole octave. And then we're gonna have to go into the browse parameters, do this fucking pain in the ass, all the way down to the bottom. Keep going till you get to the MIDI CC #1 mod wheel. And you're gonna wanna, fuck, it didn't show up, but you make a new controller. Then I just go in and mess around at places where I think it's gonna sound good. And since 100% will be a whole octave, if you can do math, I think it's like 8% for each single note that we're going up. So if you place it at 8, 16, blah blah blah, you're gonna be going up 1, 2, all the way to 12. So just keep in mind that if you want to manually slide up to a certain note, you just gotta multiply how many notes up by 8, and you'll pretty much be on it then. A lot of times I'll use the different waveform shapes, especially I'll use the wave shape and then adjust it so it'll be bending back and forth between two notes this way. Use that on like a harmonic or a real short note, you'll get this crazy distortion effect, which sounds really cool sometimes. So those are like the 3 steps I take to do a guitar, or I do that with a lot of instruments actually. And that's the process I came up with to do this one as well. If you want to know how to play something that sounds good in a guitar solo, you can pretty much just stick to pentatonic scales and just screw around. It's only 5 notes, so it's pretty easy to remember. So do that stupid. That's what I do. Or the blues scale. That's only got one more. One other thing I might do, I might record with different settings. Screw around with a couple of the sliders. Maybe replace the relay instrument with another type of guitar, like the real Rick or there's real Strat. There's a couple other ones. And then I shift octaves, play with the sliders, keep the pattern the exact same way, and you can come up with something that sounds pretty real. Alright, anyways. Like you more than a friend. So come back. Talk to you later. What?